Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to show a tarot deck that there has been some recent interest in. That is the Daughters of the Moon Tarot. And this is by Ffiona Morgan. And Fiona's name is spelt with two F's. There's a capital F and a smaller f for Ffiona. And I think it's spelt that way for a numerology reason. I'm showing this deck today because there has been some recent interest in this deck. It's really a kind of retro deck. I have this version from 1991, and this deck was also available in black and white before this version. It became available in colour in 1990, and so this is the 1991 version, and it was available in black and white from 1984. So this deck is really going back quite a bit. It was kind of ahead of its time in a lot of ways. It is definitely not an RWS. It's not a Waite-Smith based deck at all. It's a very unique deck. It was one of the very first feminist type of decks. This deck has particularly been based on Dianic Wicca. So this deck is a bit of a walk down memory lane for me. This is one of the first decks that I had ever bought around the same time that I got my first Waite-Smith deck. So here is the box, and this has got Isis on the cover, which is the Priestess card. And this is the cover card that comes with the deck. And it's listing all of the different artists who participated in this deck. It looks like there were participating artists for sketching, for sketches, as well as paintings. So this is the cover card. And Ffiona Morgan did do some of the paintings as well, and some of the sketches or illustrations. Here is the back of the card. The cardstock is good. There is a later, at least recent version of this deck available, but I have noticed that the cardstock isn't quite as good as the original, which is one of the first decks that I have. I've noticed that the later edition is, or the one that's easily available now, the cardstock is a bit thinner. So here is the back of the cards. A lot of the card names have been changed because, as I said, this is not Waite-Smith based at all, and there are only 3 court cards of Maiden, Mother and Crone. And after I show some of these cards today, I'm also going to show 2 guidebooks that I have for this deck. I'm not sure if the guidebooks are still available any longer, and I am not sure what is happening with Ffiona Morgan's Daughters of the Moon website, so you'd need to have a look at that. I haven't looked at that in recent times. So now to show some of the major arcana. The major arcana is called the Spirit Suit, or ether, in this deck. So you've got your usual suits of your usual elements, but it's not unusual actually. I have always seen the major arcana as a type of spirit suit, or the ether cards anyway. So just to start, here is the Dreamer, which is the renamed Fool card. These cards have a gloss finish, but it's not too shiny. It's not high gloss, but they are a light gloss finish. So here is the Dreamer. You can see the cards are quite large. They're about as large as the Gorgon Tarot that was published by Schiffer, which is a black and white deck. So they're about as large as that. So if you don't want cards that are too large, you may not be interested, but these cards are quite beautiful. The Dreamer. Here is the Witch. Instead of the Magician, this is the Witch. The colours are quite bright, as you can see. Witch. Now this is the Priestess card, which is Isis, just on the box. I love this. This is the Amazon card, which is the Chariot. The Wise One, which is the Hermit card. This is Spider Woman, Life Weaver. Spider Woman, sometimes they have two titles, so it has Spider Woman down here, but it's called the Life Weaver card. So this is for the Wheel of Fortune. That's the Life Weaver Spider Woman card. This is the Phoenix for the Death card. In some ways you do need the guidebook, the separate guidebook, but this is the 1991 version. There was no little white book with this, but I was able to get the guidebook separately at the time. With the newer version, I'm not sure if there's a little white book or not. So, the Phoenix, which is the Death card. Temperance. This one's actually called Temperance. There's no numbering on these cards either, and I like that. Sometimes I don't always like the numbering, especially if it was a Waite-Smith base deck. I actually prefer the numbering of the Marseille and the Thoth. Temperance. This is Coyote Woman, or the Trickster, for the Devil card. This is one of my favourite cards. I really like this card. This is Kali the Awakener. This is for the Tower card. Makes a great Tower card. Beautiful. Now this is the Star. So there's only a small number of the cards that are titled like the Waite-Smith. Star. It's a beautiful card too. The Moon. Yemaya. Goddess Yemaya. This deck was quite important to me when I first was learning tarot over 20 years ago. Amaterasu, the sun, which is the Japanese goddess. And it's so interesting looking at these cards again now. I hardly ever use this deck anymore. It's part of my collection. And it's because after working with Kabbalah for over 10 years now, I see deity as in a more neutral way. I don't see it gender specific so much anymore. But at the time I first got this deck, you know, goddess spirituality was one of the first things that I studied alongside tarot. So this was really an important deck for me many years ago. The sun. And Shakti, the life dancer. This, of course, is for the universe or the world card. So Shakti, the life dancer. It's a great card. Now to talk about the suits. You have flames, cups, blades and pentacles instead of swords. So here is one of flames, and it is creation. It's a great card. One of flames. Ten of flames. And here's one of the suit cards, the Crone of Flames, which is Keridwen. And there's also a astrology sign at the top of the card as well. And with this deck, the crone is Sagittarius. I don't quite agree with the astrology associations, but that doesn't matter. So Keridwen for Crone of Flames. Now for the cups. This is Four of Cups, and it's actually called Sorrow. So what you will find with a lot of these cards, the suit cards are very much like the spirit suit, which is Major Arcana. These are not Waite-Smith based at all. But at least you have a key word for the images. So Four of Cups is sorrow. It's a beautiful card too. 8 of Cups is withdrawal. This one is more like Wade Smith. Eight of Cups. And I really love this Crone of Cups, which is Hecate, or Hecate. Crone of Cups, Scorpio. It's one of my favourite cards in the deck. It's a Crone of Cups. Now for Blades. One of Blades. And some of these, as I said, they do have, this is called the Sibyl, which is the seer. So one of Blades. So this is really the wise woman. Eight of Blades is decisions. I like the round crescent moon blades on here. Eight of Blades. And I love this card too. This is the Maiden of Blades, which is Gemini. It's quite a beautiful card. Maiden of Blades. And now for Pentacles. So this is 3 of Pentacles, and it's called the Clay Woman. Of Blades, 3 of Pentacles. I hope I said 3 of Pentacles the first time. 3 of Pentacles for Clay Woman. 7 of Pentacles, Appraisal. Working in the field or the garden. 7 of Pentacles, Appraisal. And the Mother of Pentacles, which is Taurus in this deck, and it's the Great Corn Mother. It's a really lovely card. So Maiden of Pentacles, the Corn Mother. So there's some of the cards from the Daughters of the Moon Tarot by Ffiona Morgan. I'm going to talk about now a couple of guidebooks that I do have for the deck. The first one is the Daughters of the Moon tarot guidebook itself, written by Ffiona Morgan. This was published in the same year, 1991. And this is the actual guidebook for the deck. It's got all of the meanings for all of the cards in here. And it's got just a short few pages in the beginning. A little bit about the background of the deck. And there is a kind of Celtic cross based spread in here. It's 96 pages in black and white. It's really just a basic but helpful guidebook, and I'm not sure if you can still get this or not. It may be on the website for the deck, so you'd need to look into that, or maybe Amazon. I'm not sure if it's still available. But it was, of course, helpful to me when, you know, I got this at the same time as the deck that I just showed, and it, you know, that deck did not come with a little white book, so I really needed this guidebook. So it's worth getting if you can. It talks about the naming of the cards as well. So that's the Daughters of the Moon Tarot by Ffiona Morgan, published in 1991. The other book I have is also by Ffiona Morgan, and this is called Mysteries of the Goddess, Astrology, Tarot and the Magical Arts by Ffiona Morgan. And this was published a few years later in 1995. On the cover it has the Maiden of Cups, which is Pisces, which is a mermaid on the cover. This book is a bit thicker, and it has more information about the tarot, about the deck, Daughters of the Moon. It also talks more about the astrology, and not only in regard to the deck, but basic astrology ideas. And so it's got the astrology and astrology in relation to the deck itself, more information about the deck, and it's got things like affirmations in here, and some discussion about crystals. I found this deck really quite helpful too. So it's a bit thicker than little bit thicker than the other book. And same thing, I'm not sure if this is still available now. You could try Amazon, or you could try on the website, if there is still a website. There could be. So Mysteries of the Goddess by Ffiona Morgan. And this one looks like it was self-published. This one was. So this was published by Daughters of the Moon. And yeah, this one is about almost twice as many pages. It's got about 180 pages in this Mysteries of the Goddess book. And I'm not sure whether this other book was self-published by Daughters of the Moon as well. And I suppose the other thing I want to say before finishing up is that there was a deck that was even before the 1984 black and white version of Daughters of the Moon Tarot, and it was by Ffiona Morgan and Jacquina Mountainwater, and that deck was called a matriarchal tarot. So this deck kind of branched out of the much earlier deck called a matriarchal tarot. And then Daughters of the Moon was the later deck. So there's information about the Daughters of the Moon Tarot and guidebooks, and I will put some information below the video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.